Happiness never came easy to me, but what I learned from Tony Robbins didn't just allow me to experience happy moments, but it taught me how to train my brain to be in that state the majority of the time. Now, Tony Robbins was the first person that I really listened to when I was 19 years old and I wanted to change my life. I wanted to do better. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to live that very extravagant life. When I was looking at the comments of my previous videos, a lot of you guys were asking me what was like the first big change that you really made to get yourself from where you're at right now to where you want to be. And when I started to think about what was that change, a lot of it was what I learned from Tony Robbins. So in today's video, I am sharing every single thing that I've learned from Tony Robbins, from attending his live events, reading his books, watching his videos online, but not just everything that I've learned, because trust me, I've learned a lot through Tony Robbins, but specifically on understanding the root cause of why we feel so unhappy throughout our lives and understanding, first of all, what affects it, but specifically how to change it so we can create our most unforgettable life that we want to live. To make it easier for you to understand and for me to make sure I cover every single thing, I'm breaking down today's video into 3 sections. First of all, we're going through why you feel the way you do right now, because for me, I thought happiness was like an external job. I thought everything around me was supposed to make me feel happy, but that is not true. Second part we're gonna go through is what creates change and breaks the pattern. And then lastly, the proven method to train your brain for happiness. So let's get right into it because I have a lot to cover today. So first off, why you feel the way you do right now. The first thing, and I'm sure if you're a Tony fan, you've probably heard this before, but you don't experience life as is, you experience what you focus on the most. Now, a part of that isn't just what you focus on, but it's also the meaning behind what you focus on. So for me, for an example, growing up, well, first of all, my mom passed away when I was 15 years old. So growing up, I never really saw her being healthy. She was always in and out of hospitals. So for me, a lot of my focus was her being sick. So of course, growing up, I had a lot of sicknesses and a lot of illnesses and a lot of issues. When I was like 18, 19 years old, I got diagnosed with anxiety and IBS and stress. So you want to keep in mind, if you're feeling sad or dissatisfied or anxious or depressed, a lot of it might be because you're placing your focus and attention on certain things that are causing you to be afraid, to be scared, to kind of be on the edge for certain things that you're doing. Now, the other part of this, which is actually really funny, going off of my example, is it's possible to have tremendous abundance, but the scarcity inside of you is blinding your body to actually experience it. I have always been very, very healthy. But when I was placing my focus on just not being sick and seeing what happened to my mom, I was blinding myself with the healthy body that I actually did have. Like I wasn't sick. There wasn't actually anything like fundamentally wrong with me. But since I was actively seeking that thing out, I was blinding myself with the fact of everything else that was great in my life. A lot of the times, if we're only once again placing our focus on things that are bad, on scarcity, on lack, we blind ourselves and of our body to experience things that we have in our life that are so amazing. This is a good one. You think getting what you want, your goal, is what will make your feelings change. Okay, I have to share this story because looking back, I feel so guilty of even feeling this way, but I know so many of you have probably experienced what I'm going to share right now. So for me, the first time, I'm going to share the story of the first time that I made $50,000 in one single month in my business. This was back in 2020, specifically October of 2020. I worked so hard that month. I was also so detached that month, and I finally reached my goal of making $50,000 in that month. I was so happy. I was excited. I was celebrating at the end of the month. And then you'll never guess what happened. In November, probably the first or second week of November, I started to revert back to the same way I was feeling before I made $50,000. I was feeling scared. I was feeling anxiousness. I kind of had that nervousness feeling of Am I gonna do it again? Am I not? I wanna now reach my next goal of like 75,000 in a month or $100,000 in a month. And eventually it got to a point where the feeling that I had with that $50,000 month, it disappeared. It honestly didn't really even give me much change because I only experienced it for a short period of time. So this leads me to say most people, they tie their happiness to their success. But after a period of time, they actually return back to their average level of happiness. So if we think about it, if we're always tying our happiness to this end result, to this goal, we're always going to be chasing something that we're never going to get. And then last one for why you feel the way you do right. So when you limit your happiness around others, you train your brain that it's not good to be happy, and that becomes a habit. So for me, like I have done a lot of amazing things in my life. I've written a best-selling book, I built a multi-six-figure business, I speak on TEDx stages. Like I'm the type of person where I always want to see how much I can actually achieve in my life. It gives me a rush. Now, of course, when I'm around family and friends, like they're in a different place in their life or they don't really value the things that I value. So every single time I shared like a milestone in my life, something where I made a lot of money or something that I won, something that I achieved, I always kind of dimmed it. I was like, oh yeah, I did that. But I didn't share the full level of happiness that I actually had for myself. Not because I felt like they would feel bad for themselves or, they would see me a different way, but because I thought I was just being too much. But in a way, that started to train my brain to just tell myself like, oh, your achievements, they're not that great. And, you don't have to be that happy all the time, especially when my life got to a point where I was happy a lot of the time. Like it was good things after good things after good things. And sometimes our brain will be like, no, like, just wait, something bad is about to happen. Or just wait, like, people are experiencing a lot of illnesses and diseases and they're struggling financially. Like you should really dim your light. You shouldn't be talking about those things online. But to be honest, that doesn't do anything good for anybody because people need to see that. People need to see that there is so much more to life than just being in their struggle. But now let's get into what creates change and actually breaks the pattern of being unhappy and, in the feeling state. Okay. So number one, pattern recognition in your feelings will help you know what to change. So throughout the day, you actually want to take account of the specific moments that you start to feel unhappy, you start to feel anxious, you start to feel sad and upset. Now, for me, chronically, I don't want to say chronically I have anxiety because I'm trying not to say that about myself anymore, but I sometimes experience anxiety a lot when I wake up. And for me, I noticed that was a pattern. Exactly like the moment I wake up, I start to scan my reality for things that were not necessarily going my way, whether it was pain that I had in my lower back, maybe it was the video that didn't do that well, or the person that didn't respond back to me. I would instantly think about those things, and then in result, it would cause me to be unhappy. So now when I wake up in the morning, I don't even think about those things. I immediately, and I do this right when I'm still in bed, I will start to list out all the things I'm grateful for. Like when my eyes are still closed, I'll be like, I'm so happy I'm alive. I'm so thankful that I'm awake. Today's going to be the best day ever. I'm so happy that I'm healthy. Like I will list out every single thing that I'm truly so grateful for. So that way I'm breaking the pattern of how I feel when I wake up every single morning. Second thing, when you change the meaning to what you associate with, your life shifts. Now, there is something in your brain called neuroassociation, and that is basically where you associate and put meanings to certain things that in result creates a belief inside of yourself. So let's talk about dating for an example. Before I got married to the love of my life, I went on a lot of bad dates. And I honestly did not date the best men, okay? A lot of the guys that I dated ended up cheating on me. And when I started to experience that over and over again, I started to associate that experience with myself as becoming unlovable, as being someone that was unworthy and just honestly not capable of being loved, because I associated that bad experience that guy did to me, that once again had nothing to do with me, but had everything to do with him. I started to associate that to mean something bad about me. And thus I created that belief that I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm always going to experience this. So when you can start to disassociate yourself with the beliefs that no longer serve you and start to associate yourself with the beliefs that you do actually want to have, that's when you once again do break the pattern and you start to create that change within yourself. Now, this leads me into your focus is controlled by your values and your beliefs. Because most people, they have a focus on what is missing, what they lack versus what they actually do have. And at the same time, also, most people focus on what they can't control versus what they can control. So if we continue with the example of dating, if I'm trying to control this man that I'm dating to make sure he's not looking at any other girls, making sure he's not texting anybody else, making sure he only has eyes on me, if I'm trying to control what he's doing, like, that's not, like, at the end of the day, that is not going to prevent him from cheating. That is not going to prevent him from doing anything. But the only thing that I can control is how I feel, is how I'm responding, is how I'm reacting. I can't control an external situation. To be honest, this was probably one of the biggest things that I learned from Tony was the minute that I let go of control and realize and understand no matter how much action I put into something, I still can't control the outcome. So if I'm attaching my happiness to whether or not I'm gonna get this person or get this thing, I'm always gonna be unhappy because I cannot control whether I'm gonna get the desire. So just simply understanding this concept, that on its own, it's really gonna help you change and get more into a state of happiness versus dissatisfaction. Now, the last thing, Tony Robbins says this all the time, and I love this quote. Happiness is progress. If you don't see progress, you perish. I've noticed if I don't have something that I'm working towards, I get sucked into the mundane day-to-day routine of life. And I just want you to think about right now, just think about what you do throughout the day, Monday through Friday. Is it the same boring, mundane thing over and over again? Is there anything that you're working towards or things that you're seeing progress in? For me, I randomly just thought about this. This has like nothing to do with like my business, nothing to do with success, health, anything. This is purely just for fun. Something that I'm actively working on and seeing progression on is my makeup. Okay, let me know first of all in the comments if my makeup looks good, but I'm learning how to just improve on my makeup, how to do better eyeshadow, learning more about blushes, contour, and when I see progress in my makeup, it makes me feel happy, right? It's something that's so small, but these small things that you're making progress on, like that brings you dopamine, that brings you like small elements of joy and happiness, and overall that makes you feel better. So let's get into the final part. The method to train your brain for happiness. The way you feel happiness is actually controlled by two things. It's controlled by what you focus on and what you choose to do with your physical body. Now, the best way for me to describe this is actually to explain what happens on a day-to-day level. So for an example, if you wake up in the morning and you're focusing on how tired you feel, you're focusing on how groggy you feel, you're focusing on the fact that maybe you have a headache, and all of those things can be very valid, but you really just start to like dive into that. You really start to feel like, oh, I just really am not feeling that well. And in a result, you decide to just stay in bed and scroll on your phone. Now, in a result, that's not going to make you feel the best because you're going to be dwelling on the feelings of not feeling that great. So instead, what you want to do is in the morning, if you do start to feel very tired, maybe you do have a headache, you're going to place your focus and attention on what can I do to actually make myself feel better? And instead of taking the action of just laying in bed and scrolling on your phone, you're going to decide to go outside and take a walk, even though you might not want to do it, which is okay. But the minute you get yourself outside and you physically start to move your body, you're going to start to focus on how amazing you feel. You're going to start to focus on, oh my gosh, it's so bright and sunny out. There's baby ducklings out there. I love the air, the fresh air and the sunlight on my skin. And immediately you're going to start to have a better mood. And it is simply because you focus on something different and you chose to do something different with your body. So this is basically the new decision-making process you want to go through. how do I want to feel? If you're feeling anxious, you want to feel calm. If you're feeling sad, you want to feel happy. What movement can I take physically with my body? And then what meaning can I put on it? Because trust me, I used to do this all the time. And looking back, like, I hate myself for doing this because I put so much pressure on my body. But like when I would wake up in the morning and I would feel the anxious feelings, it wouldn't just be, oh, I'm feeling anxious, or oh, I'm feeling tired. I would put the meaning of, oh my gosh, my life sucks. Oh my gosh, again, I'm feeling this way. Like, I would put so much bad meaning on myself. It wouldn't just be, oh, I'm in pain. What can I do to make it better? It would be, oh, I'm in pain again. You're doing this again. I would be so harsh on myself. So we want to make sure we're putting a positive meaning to what we're feeling, or just a neutral feeling, or no meaning at all. It just, we're feeling this way. What can we do to make ourselves feel better? And when we do this, you build the muscle of new belief by experiencing it repeatedly. And I was listening to a Tony Robbins video. I actually got this from a recent video he posted. And the new belief that you can just choose to believe right now is, I don't need an excuse to feel good. Because how many times have we thought about, like, oh, you know, I have to get a bonus in order to feel good, or I have to go on a good date in order to feel good, or I have to make sure my video is viral in order to feel good. Why can't we just feel good just because we're alive? Like, why can't we just wake up in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, today's gonna be the best day and I'm gonna feel amazing just because I choose to? And if we can repeatedly just remind ourselves that, trust me, like every single day, life is gonna feel like the best day ever, not because something crazy is happening and going on in your life, but because we just choose to focus and place our attention in that way. And the last thing for this slide, which I have noticed firsthand, is we all need a compelling future, something to look forward to in order for us, once again, to have that happiness, to have that joy. Because what I said in the previous slide, happiness is progress. If you don't see progress, if you don't see something that you're working towards, you perish. Like, you start to feel like nothing's really happening in our life. So this can be anything. This can be a vacation that you're looking towards and forward to. This can be a goal that you're working on. This can even be as simple as a meal that you get to cook and eat later that day. I know for me, I do this all the time, and I'm gonna do this right after I record. Every single time I record a YouTube video, I always have like a yummy lunch to eat and something that I look forward to. And for me today, it's pasta with chicken because I went out to eat yesterday and I have leftovers. So for me, it's like, it's something that's so small, but it makes me happy. Like, it's kind of exciting to treat yourself and reward yourself after you put so much effort and energy into something that you're working towards. The most important thing I want you to take away from this video, and understanding this on its own will help you increase your happiness, is a Tony Robbins quote that I absolutely love. It's our job to realize life is happening for us, not to us. And to find how it is happening for us is our job. Because at the end of the day, no matter what is happening in our life, it's all about the meaning that we're putting behind it. We can get in a car crash and we can focus on the fact that we got in a car crash, or we can focus on the fact that we are alive, that we're healthy. Maybe just the car got dented, and that is okay. I love you so much. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway from this video in the comments. And as always, if you haven't watched this video, make sure to watch it next. I will catch you on next week's episode. And until then, make sure that you stay unforgettable.